far recently in search of the purpose behind the profession, the why behind what they do. And today's story comes to us from Jackie Cardello. Jackie is president and managing partner with GRF CPAs and Advisors, headquartered in Bethesda. Also a member of the MACPA's board of directors. Accounting wasn't really even on her radar when she started investigating majors back in college. Wasn't really interested in it at all. But that changed pretty quickly with some guidance from counselors. And there's some lessons in this story, not only for young folks trying to find their way, but for members of our profession who are trying to reconnect with their purpose, which is what these interviews and conversations are really all about. So good stuff here. Here is Jackie Cardello on a Monday morning for you with her CPA story.
My father is a retired CPA from the government. And I always just kind of thought, based on, what he talked about with work, that it seemed incredibly boring as the perception goes. And I was actually setting my sights on psychology or English or something in the humanities. I was thinking about going to law school.
Mm-hmm.
And my college advisor at the time prompted me to rethink about that. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to law school. And so he said, well, if you major in English or psychology, what are you going to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
You'll need to go on for an advanced degree or get your PhD or teach or so what have you, if you don't go to law school. So, maybe consider a major that might be more practical, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
like general business, because I also really enjoyed math and I was good with numbers. And so I thought, all right, I'll try general business, and I'll also, fill some of my electives with some of the humanities pieces and philosophy and things like that. So I started down the general business road, and I took my very first accounting class. I actually went to a community college. Initially, I went to Montgomery Community College
Okay.
because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and took an accounting class there. And that was it. That was the rest is history. I absolutely loved it. It just clicked with me.
What was it about it that kind of clicked or that you connected with?
I think two things. The professor, one, was very engaging,
Kind of makes all
made
the
the
difference,
class.
doesn't it?
Yeah, professors can make or break classes and majors.
Mm-hmm.
Made it very, very interesting. And it made sense for me. There's a very logical order to it. It's almost like puzzle solving. And to me, it just really clicked, and I thought it was interesting. I had never taken an accounting class in high school. As I said, I was never interested. So this being my first journey into what accounting was, I found it very interesting. And I therefore took the next course after that. And again, just kept proceeding. And when I got to intermediate accounting, that was even more interesting to me. I absolutely loved it. And it just clicked with me.
That's great.
It came easy.
It's such a relief, I think, when something like that happens and you're all of a sudden you're like, oh, so this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
mhm.
Yes. And I found it really interesting and challenging at the same time. I did well with it. And of course, then I, started thinking, okay, what do I want to do with this? And, looking into the differences between being in private industry versus public accounting, I realized pretty early on that I wanted to be in public accounting. I liked the idea of working with a firm and working for various different clients. So that appealed to me. And that was the road that I was pursuing. And again, realized based on that pretty quickly that my first goal was, as soon as I graduated, was to get the CPA.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. All right. So now, I guess my next question for you is the purpose behind your work, the why, about what you do. What do you accomplish by doing what you do on a day-to-day basis?
What do I accomplish? Well, now, with the role that I'm in now, I would like to hope and think that I inspire young leaders to stay in the profession. I would like to think that I'm helping to attract people into the profession. I'm very active in our recruiting efforts,
Mhm.
particularly with the University of Maryland, where I graduated from, the Smith School of Business. And I would like to think that I help attract people into the profession and also help them make a decision to stay in the profession, because usually there's a period of time, right around the time you're like a senior accountant, senior auditor, senior tax staff, where you really start to think, okay, is this really for me? It gets difficult. The hours not quite as crazy as they used to be, but can still be a challenge. So I like to coach and mentor and help young staff to want to stay in the profession and want to further their career and define their career paths, and hopefully have that include a future with our firm or in the accounting profession in general.
Mhm.
Clearly from a selfish viewpoint, I want to attract and retain staff at our firm. I want them to be part of GRF,
Sure.
but as part of the larger picture, I just want the accounting profession itself to thrive. So if I can make a difference in the life of a student, a young accountant who decides to make a career in public accounting, even if it's not at GRF, and I had something to do with that, then I feel like my career will have been well worth it. Um, that's where I am today. Now, obviously, early on, I wanted to make a difference with my clients. I wanted to have an impact on them. That's still the case to a degree, but I'm far less involved with clients.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, the firm is really my client,
Yeah.
since I manage the firm. So it's kind of been twofold over the life of my career. It's serving my clients, helping them to, I was very involved in the nonprofit sector. So it was helping my clients to further their missions and help them, understand something that doesn't come second nature to a lot of people who are mission driven, the accounting and finance piece.
Right.
So helping them to navigate that. And then also, again, just making an impact on students and, young people who are entering the profession, and helping them to hopefully decide whether a career in accounting is for them. And hopefully the answer is yes. And then how to decide which direction to go in.
That's great. Well, let's talk about each of those two things really briefly here for a second. So, from your standpoint, what's most gratifying for you about what you do? I mean, what inspires you, I guess, about the work that you do?
Well, what is gratifying to me is, with respect to clients, is helping clients to understand what story the financial statements are telling. I should preface this by saying I'm an auditor. I've
Hmm.
done both audit and tax. I've also done outsourced accounting throughout my career, but I landed in audit, and that's where I spent the primary, um, most of my career.
Okay.
So it's helping clients to understand what purpose an audit serves, what story the financial statements should be telling. Um, Usually along with that, we're preparing their 990s as a nonprofit. And again, the 990 tells a story for the clients,
Yep.
um, and helping them to understand areas where they can improve and, streamline operations and finances. And, today that also encompasses looking at risks to the organization, not just necessarily financial risks, but, overall risk. We kind of look at everything,
Mhm.
with respect to what could impact the client. Clearly we look at areas of potential fraud risks, coming from either internally or externally. And really it's just, looking at best practices. What are other similar organizations in nature and size doing? What's working for them, what's not working, and just helping them to leverage what I've learned in my experience, from what other organizations are doing. So
That's
that's particularly gratifying to me.
Yeah. It's like a strategic role
Hmm.
within that organization, right? It's like you're
Exactly.
you're you're part of determining the strategy and the future of your clients or businesses, which is gotta be
Absolutely.
fantastic. Um, Now, students on the student side, young
Mhm.
professionals. I mean, let's say that I'm a high school or a college student who's kind of struggling to figure it out. What do I want to do? What do I want to study? Where do I want to go? I mean, what would you tell me about accounting?
I would tell you that accounting is not as it is perceived. It is not dull and boring and stuffy. It can actually be challenging and stimulating. You can meet a lot of great people. You don't have to, people think of sitting in an office, with your head down, crunching numbers, and that's only a small part of it. A lot of it again is interacting with a team. If you're in private industry, you're part of a larger team that it is trying to help a company grow and thrive. And if you're in public accounting, it's working with a lot of different clients. You meet a lot of different people. You don't have to be in the office every day. You can be out, at client sites. I got to travel a lot. We have a large international NGO practice, so I've been fortunate to travel to areas of the world that I probably otherwise would not have gone to. It had it not been for the work. So I would say to them, I would encourage them to look beyond the quote desk job. It's not just crunching numbers. It's what can I do with this? And also, what are the various different careers you can go into? You can have a degree in accounting. To me, accounting is the foundation for really any type of job in the business sector that you could want to go into. Let's say you want to open your own company. Maybe you have someone who happens to like fashion a lot. Having an understanding of how a company operates and what the language of accounting and understanding that to some degree can help immensely in, going down that path of opening your own company, whatever that may be. And there's folks that go into fraud and forensics, that go into the data analytics, the information systems. Used to be, and I think it still is, FBI likes to hire accountants. So if you want to go into the FBI, so there's a lot of different things you can do with a degree in accounting other than, work on the numbers.
That's what I'm hearing more and more is that, it can be a foundational type of thing, but a foundational type of thing that will allow you to do almost anything that you want to do, right?
Absolutely.
Which is
And there's always a job. Since I have been in this profession, and we've weathered many storms, we've weathered, recessions. I remember 2008, went through that, thought the world was falling apart. Then the pandemic comes, you think the sky is falling. Accounting has pretty well weathered that. And we have never, our firm personally has never laid people off for lack of work or ability to pay them.
mhm.
And my experience has been accounting firms are always looking for people.
Yep.
So it's job security. That's huge. Even if it's not, you don't want to be an auditor per se, you want to do something else, but you can't find a job in that particular area, you always have a fallback. You're always going to have audit, tax, outsourced accounting, those types of things, bookkeeping, the very basic.
Great stuff there from Jackie Cardello. So glad she could take time out of her busy schedule to be here with us today. We want to hear from you too. So head on over to macpa.org/Y and share your story with us, if you would, as we try to offer a little bit of inspiration to the next generation of accounting and finance professionals. We want to hear what your purpose is too. So be sure to share that with us when you get a chance. And in the meantime, just thanks for being here. So glad that you could join us today. Have a great week. We'll be back again next week. More stories to share with you then. Until then, have a good week. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.